What is going on, addicts? Welcome to the Fantasy Addiction Network. In this video, we are going to take a look at the running back room of the Los Angeles Rams and talk about the rookie Cam Akers and the sophomore Darrell Henderson. What do we expect to see happen in 2020? This is a bit of an enigma, something you're going to want to get right on draft day, because as it stands right now, there's some value to be had in this backfield. So let's dig a little bit deeper into it. Now, past couple years, the Rams backfield has been one of the primary backfields to own Todd Gurley, obviously, for fantasy. And with Todd Gurley leaving, that leaves a pretty massive void in the fantasy sphere, but also for the Rams in terms of who's going to be the main producer in this backfield. So last year, outside of Todd Gurley, they had Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown taking carries back and forth, giving him a rest. Todd Gurley played the majority of snaps, but Malcolm Brown ended up being the predominant second back. Darrell Henderson was a guy the Rams drafted in the third round of 2018. They moved up to get him, so a lot of people are really excited for Darrell Henderson. There were even some people thinking that last year Gurley was going to end up getting rested a lot more because of his knee, and Darrell Henderson would end up taking the job, and that happened in no way, shape, or form. He finished the year with only 43 touches, 147 rushing yards, and 37 receiving yards on only 4 catches. He did miss 3 games. 2 of them were non-injury, and 1 was due to an ankle sprain. But complete nothing burger from Darrell Henderson last year. And that's definitely concerning because some people have speculated, well, maybe it took him a little bit longer to learn the scheme that Sean McVay was running, and it could also have had to do with how poorly this offensive line is in terms of run blocking efficiency. Well, that doesn't really help matters because it's the same offensive line heading into 2020, so that's not really good news for Darrell Henderson. And then they go out and draft Cam Akers in the second round with their first overall pick. So with everything else that's broken on the Rams, they spend their very first overall pick in the second round on a running back, taking Cam Akers, who arguably could have been seen as the most athletic running back in this entire class. Coming from Florida State, dealt with one of the stone worst offensive lines we've seen in the history of college football, and still managed to produce pretty good numbers. Finished last year with over 1,100 rushing yards, 30 catches, and 225 yards and 18 total touchdowns. Was dealing with a little bit of an injury towards the end of the season, but didn't really seem to slow him down too much. He decided to rest in the bowl game because he didn't want to risk getting hurt more than he needed to, and obviously it still panned out well for him, performed really well at the combine, and gets drafted in the second round. That's pretty much all you can ask for a running back these days with how devalued the position is. So heading into 2020, I believe the general expectation, and where I stand as well, is that Cam Akers is most likely going to get the shot to be the replacement for Todd Gurley. I do think Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown will still be involved somewhat, and I don't know that Cam Akers will see the same volume share as Todd Gurley, at least not for the first couple weeks. It's going to be really hard for any rookie to get acclimated in September due to all of the changes that are taking place right now. Training camp, rookie camps being canceled, training camp being delayed, preseason potentially not even happening. It could be a little rough for rookies in that first month. But that doesn't mean that in terms of where we expect them to finish, that I am all that worried about taking rookies, especially the running back position. That is one of the spots that you can quickly transition from college to the NFL. Not nearly as much for receivers, but running backs typically can make that switch a lot quicker. So, other few things to note in terms of how much upside there actually is in this backfield. Last year, as we mentioned, Todd Gurley had a 72.4% opportunity share, which is top 10 amongst running backs. So do we expect Cam Akers to get a north of 70% opportunity share? Probably not, at least not in the first couple weeks. Maybe towards the end of the season we can expect closer to 75%. But I think it's pretty safe to assume he'll at least get about 50 to 60% for the first couple weeks, which is still going to be pretty valuable. And you're getting him at a discount currently. I've seen him go between the 5th and 6th round in most drafts. I do expect come August, September, assuming we're still on track to have the season start on time. I expect Cam Akers ADP to continue to go up until the point that he's in the 4th round, and that's where it gets a little more dicey. If you're having to choose Cam Akers over the likes of some of the receivers that you can typically get in the 4th round, it's going to make it a lot harder for me. But right now, getting him in the 6th round is a smash. Getting him in the 5th round is still a decent value for me. Just knowing the potential of this offense. Last year, Gurley dealt with a terrible run blocking efficiency rating of 62.6, which was 49th among running backs. And like I've mentioned many times to this point, that's not getting any better. But Cam Akers dealt with the 129th ranked out of 130 teams O-line ranking last year. So he should be pretty used to crappy O-line at this point. Finished with a 39.8% college dominator rating, which is 89th percentile, and a 10.4% target share, 78th percentile. Todd Gurley saw a pretty drastic drop in his efficiency in the passing game last year, and I think that Cam Akers, even if he loses out on some of the carries to Darrell Henderson and Malcolm Brown, I think that Cam Akers will actually make up for it in his passing game work. Few notes for Darrell Henderson, at least things of some positive notes. He finished with a 44.2% juke rate, which really doesn't mean much because of the few touches that he had. So he wasn't even high enough to be considered and ranked in that category. But that was definitely a high juke rate that would have put him in the top tier at that position. And finished with 2.14 yards created per touch, which was number 6. But again, getting only 43 touches. I mean, it's similar to the Damian Harris argument in that how much can you really trust a running back that couldn't even get onto the field in his rookie year? And Sean McVay, unlike Bill Belichick, doesn't really have a track record of not trusting rookies. So it's not a good spot to be in for Darrell Henderson after they move up to draft him in the 3rd round, and they basically just signal and say, hey, we don't actually believe in you at all. That's why we're going to spend our very first pick in the 2020 draft on a running back, even though we're devoid of talent on the offensive line. We need help in the secondary. We need help everywhere else, but we're going to spend our first pick on a running back anyway because we don't trust you. So I don't really like Darrell Henderson at all. I'm not even really looking at taking a later round flyer on him because for all we know, if Cam Akers isn't getting the work, they could just turn to Malcolm Brown and just turn this into a really ugly committee that you're not happy with for fantasy. So the only guy that I really feel like has upside here is Cam Akers. So right now we have Cam Akers projected for 860 rushing yards, but 26 receptions and 219 receiving yards and 9 total touchdowns. That would put him at about 190 fantasy points. But again, as we keep reminding you guys with a lot of rookies, we expect a higher percentage of these points to come after the first couple weeks. So by the end of the season, you'll be more happy with the production that you're getting out of a rookie than you would at the beginning. So again, these are the type of guys that we like to, if we don't end up drafting, we can always try to trade for after the first couple weeks of quote-unquote underperforming expectations, because we know that towards the end of the season things should get better for these guys. But again, not really excited for what they're going to use Darrell Henderson for. I think they're really expecting to just use him in more of a specialist role. We have him getting 402 rushing yards right now, 22 receptions, and 195 receiving yards, and 4 total touchdowns, giving him only 100.6 fantasy points. And again, even if Cam Akers were to get injured or just doesn't get the work that we're expecting, Malcolm Brown is still there and could take a good portion of the workload, as he did last year as well. So I'm not drafting Darrell Henderson really in any format. Cam Akers is interesting to me, a guy I definitely begin to look at in the later part of the 5th round, and as a smash pick in the 6th round for the potential upside that he carries. So let me know what you guys think in the comments section below, and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this one. We'll see you guys in the next video.